So before I begin, on the off chance that you have clicked on this video by accident, for instance, if you are a anime only, or someone that has not read the latest chapter of Attack on Titan, chapter 123 to be exact, then I recommend to pause this video, leave the video, etc., and basically either read the chapter if you read the manga, or not watch the video if you're an anime only and don't want to be spoiled. Now, if you don't care to be spoiled, then by all means, continue watching, but what I'm trying to say is, I just want to offer a warning for any of those that might click on this video by accident, because I know it does happen from time to time, and I do know that YouTube also has an autoplay feature, which it can happen too. So just, I wanted to give a fair warning, because I know Attack on Titan is definitely a series that, you know, is something that many don't want spoiled for them, and it's something that is just incredible when it comes to some of the twists and turns it has throughout the story. So, the rumbling has officially begun. This chapter, honestly, in terms of being complex, it's nothing like the previous chapter. I'm just going to be straight up. If you look at the last chapter of Attack on Titan, it was really complex because it revealed a lot. It really did. The main point of the last chapter was, besides just mythology references, etc., was just finally having everything come full circle. Just finally seeing the origin point, why everything started, all the mysteries, some of the mysteries being answered, and then mysteries popping up, etc., to the origin of whatever the creature is within the tree. But not to repeat myself from my previous review last month, basically the last chapter was very complex, very information heavy. There was so much that happened. It was truly a mind-blowing moment for Attack on Titan. Easily the biggest moment of the series in my personal opinion. However, that does not stop from this chapter being absolutely fantastic and really telling a great message throughout the pages it has presented. Now, it's a very simple message, but at the same time, it is left up to interpretation depending on the reader, but not as much as the last chapter. So, let's get into the main point. The main point of this chapter is that the rumbling has begun, basically, Ragnarok. There is no stopping it. There's nothing you can do. The only thing, theoretically, that could stop Ragnarok, or the rumbling, if you just want to use that term, is basically Eren deciding to change his mind for whatever reason, which would just honestly be awful because of everything that this chapter tried to present, but also if there was some form of World War II era, you know, weapons that were introduced within the story, which is possible, but unlikely to a certain degree, especially with the message that, you know, Isayama is trying to present with Attack on Titan. But the point, though, is that this chapter, there is no stopping Eren. There's nothing that can be done. You could struggle, fight, bring down maybe a few colossal titans. Even if you do so, you're not going to stop all of them. The world will effectively come to an end. And life will obviously be reborn, and, you know, you'll have a new era of humans, but at the very least, the world with how it is known right now, it will cease to exist. It will definitely become barren. Now, getting into the main point. This chapter wanted to set out to prove one fundamental detail, and that is, as I've already said in this video, is that there's nothing that's going to stop the rumbling, because we get the full understanding of Eren's mentality, who he is as an individual, and basically why he's decided to make this decision in the first place. Now, obviously, it's very easy to get. I mean, when you look at the bare bones example of why Eren is even doing what he's doing right now, it's obvious to get it. But there's more reasoning that this chapter added to just really give more details to Eren's character and to basically say that there is nothing. Nobody can change his mind now. Nobody will change his mind because of what he has personally seen. So I want to go into the different details, analyze it, and also talk about the message of the chapter. So one of the big things about the chapter is that Eren, he has multiple moments throughout the chapter where he seems very distant, or someone that seems very lonely, isolated, someone that just seems in great despair. There's many moments. If you look in the chapter and you see the moments with Eren, there's so many moments to where he truly does look isolated. He looks sad. He looks miserable. He looks like he's just in great suffering. That's what the emotions this chapter gives me. The emotions every time I see him pop up. You can see that Eren is just absolutely miserable. And honestly, ever since the time skip, Eren has pretty much looked miserable since the very beginning. I mean, every time we see him, he never smiles. And even though Eren's never been a real big smiler, he still had a little bit more emotions than what he's shown throughout the time skip. And the reason for that is because the world is really hardened his mentality. He is someone that really just doesn't have much more emotion to really give. And he does have emotion, it just, he's had to kind of harden himself and make his heart very cold to be able to set out and do what must be done. And that's pretty much what this chapter was trying to say. And basically, despite him being isolated and all that, you can see multiple times throughout the chapter, he tries to find reasons to not do what must be done. And that is the message of the chapter, is that there's multiple moments where you see Eren mention that he knows about ice cream. He knows that nothing's happened to the boy, but it will happen soon. Basically, there was multiple moments where it showed that Eren knows what's going to happen. He sees the future. He knows the past. This has already been established. This is common stuff. But the point is he was seeking an out. He was trying in any way possible to figure out if there was any potential way that the future he sees and the past he sees is false. It is not real. And that is honestly the saddest part about this, because many would think being able to see the future, being able to see the past might be great. Yeah, to know all information, knowledge, etc. But honestly, it's more of a curse than anything else. Because if you know all about the future, you know all about the past, then it can definitely give you a lot of sorrow and despair. Because if you know for a fact that all of your efforts are basically fruitless and there's nothing that can really come about peacefully, you're going to be very upset. And you can see that Eren, like I said throughout this chapter, he was definitely trying. He was definitely trying to, in his own way, express himself to say, please, do something different. Do something that does not follow what my memories from the future tell me. Like, he wanted something different to happen. For instance, the whole conversation with Mikasa and him was basically him crying out to her, saying, could you please do something that is something that I haven't already seen? Because since technically the entire future has been spoiled for him, he knows what's going to happen, he knows what he has to do, he's hoping that there is something that is the complete opposite of what he sees, for he knows the future that must be done won't happen. And there could be, let's say, peace, etc. But obviously, the more the chapter goes on, he realizes that everything he has seen is coming true, and there's nothing he can do about it. And what really kind of set him over the edge, and really changed everything, was that moment when you had the entire conversation with the guy that was supposed to be on the Eldian side, basically threw all the people on Paradise under the bus, and was like, they must be eradicated. So, the cycle of hatred, vengeance, killing, war continues. It will not come to an end. So their hope of peace basically died in that moment. And when you see Eren walk out, he gives a letter to everybody, all his friends, telling him that he'll go along with Zeke's plan. He pretty much meant that Eren has resigned himself to his fate. He has resigned himself to his destiny. Destiny is a big part that I want to get into, which is kind of interesting when you think about the theme of what shonen normally is about. Or just, you know, kind of what destiny is for storytelling in the first place. Destiny is something that many main characters have. I mean, you could think of some really popular shows, like Naruto. I mean, that's a good example. You have it to where, at the end of the story, you know, it's destiny. It's like destiny that he will become Hokage. You know, when you think about My Hero Academia, it's destiny that Izuku will become the greatest hero. You know, destiny is something that has always been a part of stories. Not just manga, but literature. It's always been a fundamental theme, and you've always, I think, have writers really display their thoughts on destiny in their own way. You have some characters that want to fight against destiny, some characters that travel with destiny, you know, some characters that just literally defy destiny entirely and prove it's wrong. You know, there's many examples of this type of theme. And Eren, as always, when it comes to the theme of destiny, he is following that path. It's a theme of destiny. And it really is interesting how Isayama, the writer of Attack on Titan, has really expressed that that emotion or that theme of destiny through Eren. See, when we look at the events of the arc before the time skip, with his story when she came to power, before, Eren, knew about his true origin, for instance, when he realized he was nothing special, he always thought he was. And then he realized he wasn't, and it broke him. He got very sad. He realized someone could do his job for him, which is why he was willing to offer up his body to his story or anyone to be able to carry on his legacy. He no longer really cared about his life. He realized his life wasn't important in the grand scheme of things. That's kind of what that arc was about. So he pretty much found out, in terms of destiny, he wasn't that important. However, with the events of the latest arc after the time skip, or right before the time skip, Eren found out the truth. He is important. He is someone very important, not just a throwaway. But the thing is, because of how important he is, it scares him. He doesn't want to be that important. He doesn't want to be the MC. He doesn't want to be someone that is destined to do certain things to change the world, because that is why he cries out within this chapter, because he knows what he has to do, the blood he has to put on his hands to be able to change the world, and he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to be the MC. He doesn't want to be destined to do so-and-so. So it's sad, really, and I like the theme of fate of how it slowly kind of broke down Eren, because at the start of the story, he wanted to be the destined individual. Middle of the story, he realized he wasn't important, broke him, and then the later half of the story, where we're at right now, he doesn't want to be, because of just everything that's happened. So I think it's cool. I do like the story and the writing of that. Isayama has really done a fantastic job with really presenting the theme with Eren and what his struggles really are within this chapter, and how he wanted something different to happen, but once again, Destiny was like, no, you have to do this. So, let's get into one of the reasons why he won't change his mind, because he's the only one. It goes with Destiny. Since he is the only one that can do it, he knows he's the only one that can do it, since obviously the future can't be changed. He knows he must bloody his hands. He has to become the bad guy. He has to become the one that basically commits genocide. There's nothing else he can do. He has to do it. So it's sad, really, and that's why his mind won't be changed. No matter what anyone says, he won't change his mind, because he knows it must be done. It has to happen. So, to extend upon this a little bit, let's talk about kind of Eren's future. What is going to happen now with what is happening within this chapter, at least towards the end. Eren effectively tells all subjects of Ymir that anyone outside of the island is going to die. The entire world is about to get annihilated, eradicated, basically saying that anyone that's left alive on Paradise's island will be a-okay. However, I do think that this is probably going to come undone, and the people on Paradise might die too. And the reason why I say that is because when you think about the trampling, the rumbling of the Colossal Titans, it doesn't really seem like, they're going to move away from town. So if a town is in front of them, especially on Paradise Island, the Colossal Titans might trample straight through the towns, which obviously will end a lot of people. A lot of people that is a part of the island on Paradise. So I do think that there is going to be a lot of loss of life, not just on, the mainland, but also on the island, just because of the Colossal Titans getting to the ocean. Now, I don't really know how the Colossal Titans are going to get across, but whatever that may be, that answer, etc., the point is, though, is that the world really doesn't have anything that could stop Eren. The only thing, theoretically, that could stop Eren is a nuke. But I just don't think that's going to be added. And if it does, that will bring up a whole new discussion, and I'll talk about that if it does happen. But for now, it doesn't really seem like it. It seems like with their current technology, they just don't have that. They don't have those capabilities to be able to do it. So Eren, with the rumbling beginning and all that, and, the world basically going to be coming to an end, it's going to really make people choose sides. Obviously, it's basically Eren versus the world. That's literally what this chapter does, is that anyone that isn't on the island is the enemy. For instance, you are going to die. So, obviously, everybody throughout the world will team up to fight back against Eren. And it could lead to a cliche route of even the people part of Eren's faction, for instance, Mikasa, Armin, and all them, working together with the people around the world to fight a common enemy, which I think would be very dull and plain for a story like Attack on Titan, especially with how good Isayama has been with the writing and the twists and turns. So I just don't think that will be his answer. For instance, have everybody work together to fight a common enemy, because once the common enemy's gone, that's not going to answer anything. People are still going to be at each other's throats. People are going to talk about how another Eren could come about, etc. So I highly doubt something like that is a really good choice to go down for the story. So the other options that are possible is the fact that if Eren does effectively win, you know, and the Eldians, you know, everyone that's on Paradise still live, and they most likely will execute Eren. For instance, if Eren allows it, he might end the entire Titan bloodline with him, since technically we do know that the founder Titan is able to manipulate all Titans and change their biology, etc. It's very likely that Eren could pretty much end it to where nobody can turn into Titans. That is a possibility. Who really knows? Because the mysteries of what the founding Titan truly is left up in the air. So for all we know, Eren could technically make everybody that was a Titan turn from a Titan back to regular humans, and make it to where nobody can be Titans, and stop the passing of down of the Titan power. But if that happens or not, the point is, though, Eren is setting himself up to be the villain, and he's basically a god right now. He's a god that is casting judgment for his people. He's protecting his people for they can live another day. And let's look at the reason why he's doing it, and why he's been driven to this very point. So obviously, peace, it's naive. It's naive to think that peace would happen at this point. I mean, if you go back maybe 500, 800 years, maybe peace could have happened. But in this timeline, right now, what has happened, peace will never happen in this world. Because there's just too much bad blood between the Eldians and the Marlians that has happened that you can't really, you know, come back from. I mean, we know the truth now about the Eldians, what they did to the Marlins. We know, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, I probably am not, but we know the truth. We know that they did do the horrific acts, but it doesn't justify what has been done to the Eldians in this day and age. But it's been a cycle, back and forth, and, you know, even if the old Eldians deserved it, the new ones do not, because you shouldn't judge the sons of the sins of their fathers, etc. I just don't think that's right. So both sides are completely wrong. Nobody is right in this circumstance whatsoever, which is kind of what Attack on Titan has been presenting since the beginning, is that no side is right, everybody has their reasons, nothing is justified. It just, both sides, you know, do it because it's what they believe in, what's right for them. And so Eren basically expresses his point. He's like, there's been multiple things. Number one, you have it to where we've been attacked by people from overseas to get rid of us and all that, to steal the founding Titan, to basically gain power and eradicate everybody on the island. And then once everybody on the island is eradicated, all of the subjects of Ymir that are throughout the world will also be eradicated as well. So you have it to where it's not just the people on the island, but anyone that is related to Ymir will basically die. So there is no happy ending whatsoever for Eren's people, because no matter what, everybody will die. Even, for instance, hypothetically, if Eren just rolled over and let them take, you know, Paradise, you know, kill everybody in Paradise, take his power, all of the people a part of the Eldian people or Eldian race will die. They will get eradicated, because one day it will come to that point, or once again you'll have another Eren that rises up. So the only way to end this cycle is to get rid of one of the other. And so that's the point here, is that the only way to really end the cycle of hatred is to truly have one side cease to exist. So it doesn't justify Eren at all, because even though he is acting in self-defense after how much has happened to his people in the current timeline, once again, committing genocide is not something that is necessarily, you know, excusable. You know, that is definitely something horrific that you shouldn't do. So yeah, I do think that this chapter does a fantastic job with really just setting up Eren's motive properly, basically letting us know as the readers of Attack on Titan that there's no stopping him, and Eren has never changed. The only thing that's changed about him is that he has basically realized that he's important, but he doesn't want it. That's really the only big fundamental change that he's really gotten as a character, but just Isayama has kind of extended and given him more depth throughout the story. It's kind of interesting, honestly, how he turned like a character like, you know, Eren into such, like, that was such an unlikable character into what he is right now. It's mind-blowing. It's really good writing to do something like that, especially when, in the grand scheme of things, Eren hasn't technically changed a whole lot in terms of what his objective is, etc. Because, honestly, even though he's going to be eradicating everybody throughout the world, technically, it's pretty much the same goal as eradicating all the Titans, except instead of just the word Titans, it's the people that are pretty much Titans that are just killing his people, causing his people not to be free. So, it's still the same goal. It is. So that's kind of another reason what, you know, Mikasa was saying is that Eren really hasn't changed. It's the same objective he's always wanted. But okay, I'm going to leave it at that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, you know, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.